and maybe evening to some people, depending on where you are in the world. Master Ali Ghafour here, CEO of 2020 Armor, ready to have another live stream about the ever-changing scenario of the coronavirus here in the world. Master Tony Kook will be joining me in a few minutes. He is just getting his computer set up. He bought a new one, and that one wasn't working, so he's going back to his old one. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about what has changed in this last week, both in terms of what's going on around the world, but also how that obviously impacts what our strategies are in the martial art world. And Master Kook will share his strategies and what he's doing, and throughout any of our live streams, we encourage you to really ask a lot of questions. We'll get to as many as we can, and remember, yeah, no question is a stupid question. We're all trying to figure this out together, and yeah, so please do ask those. And I'm just going to actually not talk for a few minutes, not minutes, just a few seconds until I just kind of share this video on my channels. And so I'm just going to talk about non-Corona stuff. Well, actually, it is related to Corona stuff. It's going to be about how my work schedule has changed. Working from home together, and sharing the same challenges that you guys are having. Do ask those. Sorry, let me just get rid of this audio here. Sharing some of the same challenges you're having. My biggest challenge is with 3 young kids at home. That is a hard thing to kind of manage while they don't have their usual schedule that they're used to. So I'm actually trying to keep them engaged in with going outside, doing schoolwork and all that. But even with that, that's something that's quite hard. Let's see. Well, Master Tony Kook is almost here. One of the things that if you can see on the screen there on the bottom left, there's a page that we built that's taking all the resources that we've collected. So a lot of people are doing really cool things, from offering advice on how to do live streams to which tools they're using that's most convenient for them. We're also posting our videos on there. So we've collected all of them, aggregated together, put it on one page for you so that you can reference them at any time. And we update that page daily. And then there's also a mailing list that we devoted specifically for content that will pertain to the coronavirus and how that's impacting our industry, and just some strategies that other people are doing. So, it saves you a little bit of time from trying to curate from hundreds of other folks. But that is our world. We talk to thousands and hundreds of club owners and see what they're doing. And so we have a pretty good ear to the ground as to what's going on there. So we share their strategies on that page, and we obviously curate it and choose the ones that make sense and come from trusted sources. So I can see Tony is logged in and just waiting for him to. Let me see here. So Tony, I'm going to put you in. I don't see you. Not sure if you. I think I can hear you. Can you say something?
Ali, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just cannot see you.
All right. We've got the camera working here.
Okay, and you are live, by the way, Tony.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
You are on a hot mic.
All right. We're good to go.
So I was just giving people just a quick update while you figure out your camera. And if you do, that's great. If you don't, then we can try to make it work without it. Just, things have changed dramatically, obviously, since Monday, since we last talked to today. and just wanted to give people updates on what they what you are doing, and see if that makes sense for them. And also, I know you're obviously in touch with other club owners as well. They go to you for advice and wanting to know what you've been hearing on their end, depending on where they are. And so that's kind of what we'll be chatting about today. So, do you think you see what the issue is with the camera? You're on mute right now. We were able to hear you before. There we go.
You can hear me fine?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, let me just kind of explain what's been going on over the course of the past couple of weeks on our end, and I think it's probably very similar to everyone else all across North America, maybe even the world. And as I'm explaining this, I'll try to figure out this camera issue here. Sure. So 2 weeks ago, we released just an official notice to all of our students and parents that we're taking increased safety measures and that we were going to stay open. And then about 8 days ago, we released another communication saying that we're taking extra enhanced safety measures and we're asking people to stay at home if they've traveled or if they weren't feeling well. And then just less than a week ago, we released yet another communication saying that in the interest of safety and in accordance with our local health authorities and advice that we're closing down. Yeah. So we're suspending afternoon classes and transitioning to our online training tools and virtual training. So that's where we are right now. And I encourage everyone that's listening here today, if you haven't already done so, use every single form of communication channel that you have to let your parents and your student body know what you guys are doing. So, for example, I had called another meeting with all of my staff a couple of days ago, and I had asked them to communicate on every single channel that we have, what we're doing for the next 10 days moving forward.
Interesting. You chose 10 days as your window.
Well, when we announced our closure for regular class, we said that our plan is to open up back up on April 1st. I think the reality is that that's probably not going to happen. I think it's probably going to go another week or 2 weeks or another month before we can open our doors to some number of students. Right. So I've made the decision that this is our plan until April 1st, and then moving forward, we'll be planning week at a time. So again, we're doing this on a day-by-day basis, but the important thing is that you're communicating to all of your students and your parents. And these are the avenues that we're using right now to communicate. Number one is we're just simply updating our answering machine because a lot of people are just still calling the school, wondering what's happening. Right. We're calling them. We're taking the initiative, and that's a lot of phone calls, but we're calling them. We're emailing them. We're putting all of our current news and status up on our social media channels. So that's our Facebook and our Instagram. We're uploading it to our mobile apps, and we're actually even texting them. So yeah, we're using every single communication channel we have to let everyone know that we're suspending afternoon classes, but we are going to our virtual training platform. Okay. So if there's school owners listening to this and you haven't done that yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Put together a communications system and start on that right away. Right. Okay. So that's kind of what you've changed in the last week, which is again, you had mentioned when we were talking, sorry, not last week, this week, this Monday, I think we last chatted.
you said, this is my strategy today, and I can change it in the next hour, or I can change it next week, and sure enough, it did. So, you know, that's one thing that we have to be absolutely ready for and prepared for, to be nimble. And so then, you know, you said that you're doing now your online classes. How is that going? What have you found that's working, not working? What are you still trying to figure out? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So we currently have online curriculum.
Okay.
We have an online training tool for each of our belt levels. So what we're doing right now is we've spent the last few days, we're using it up until today to update all of our current training tools, and we're encouraging all of our students and parents to use that right now.
Okay.
We've also announced that that starting next week, we are going with our live training classes.
Okay, so you're starting that next week.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
All of our live training officially begins next week, and we've communicated that to everybody. And we've had some wonderful feedback. You know, a lot of people are really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of questions, you know, obviously. And
right.
So our plan for next week is to go live on Monday and Tuesday. We'll use those Monday and Tuesday live classes to repeat that on Wednesday and Thursday, so that we can use Wednesday and Thursday to record some more videos, some pre-recorded videos.
Okay.
Moving forward. So again, to answer your question, we're actually using a combination of 3 methods. We're using our online training tools.
Yeah.
So that's our online resource. We're using live training, training with our Facebook and our Instagram pages, just simply because I find that a lot of our younger students have an Instagram account, but they don't have a Facebook
account. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Facebook is more for kind of our parents and maybe our adults.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to be doing pre-recorded classes because it's better quality control.
Right.
You know, when it's live, the dynamic is quite different. You know, you're going to be facing the camera instead of facing your students.
Right.
Probably only going to have 1 or 2 instructors in the background, as opposed to having a full class.
Right.
And so the feel is going to be much different for our instructors. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for them as well.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be doing. And again, we're planning to do this until April 1st. And as we get closer to April 1st, depending on what our local health authorities advise, we're going to come up with another weekly plan, so kind of a week-by-week plan that we're coming up with, and we're communicating that to our students and parents.
Right. Okay. So that's okay. So yeah. So strategies are based on week timelines and communicating that effectively to the parents. And so you know you'll be starting the live streams next week. So you're using your pre-existing recorded content for now, and you're saying so far the reception to that has been good. Have you seen? I guess obviously hard to judge people's temperature other than kind of what they send to you in email because you can't see them anymore. But do you foresee any sort of any waning interest so far in this type of teaching, or is this something that that they're actually quite excited to have because again the kids need something to do?
You know, I think we spoke about this a little bit on our last meeting.
Yeah.
But I think depending on the current financial situation of your students and your parents, you are going to have parents that are 100% completely supportive. They understand that it is a very trying and difficult time for small businesses like ourselves. So they're happy to continue just paying the monthly tuition in exchange for all the online training tools that we're providing, and then also the time credits and the makeup classes and the other incentives that we're offering to make sure they get the full value of everything that they're paying for.
So you still find that is working? right now, as of now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially because we're keeping in constant communication with everyone, saying that we are closed simply for the safety of everyone. We are going to reopen as soon as it is viable for us to do so, but more importantly, when it's safe to do so.
Right.
So our hope, obviously, we're all hoping that this is going to be not too long. The sooner we can get back to operations, the better. The other camp, you're going to have people that are not sure what they're going to do.
Right.
They're kind of teetering on holding their membership so that no further payments go out. We've had some people simply cancel. We've had people say, you know, they're going back to where they came from. We've had a lot of international students. We've had some people just cancel because they're not in a financial situation to continue. And that's when we've reached out to them with that script that we talked about earlier, saying,
right.
you know, it's because of support of students and parents like yours that we're able to do what we're doing. And we absolutely appreciate everything you're doing for us. Would you consider just placing your membership on hold
right.
until you know, this whole COVID-19 situation becomes safer, in which case you can resume regular classes and any lost time will be made up for. So we're not simply saying, yes, okay, we understand. We are asking for their support. If they're asking for a hold, we're asking if they will continue just paying, and so that we would give them you know, the full value. And then if they're asking to cancel, we're asking if they would consider holding, because at the end of the day, we all want to have a Taekwondo Academy to come back to.
Right. Right.
And this is only possible through the support of everyone.
Right.
So that's what we've been doing right now.
Okay, great. And then what sort of thoughts have you had in terms of keeping track of the students' progress when they're not in your school? Have you had time to think about that and how to do that? Are you planning to not even worry about that? Any comments on that stuff, on that part?
Yeah, so here's our plan, and I had just rolled this out with our staff yesterday. When students access our online training tools and go through a workout, or when they join us for a live training session, which starts next week, they simply need to tag us. And what we do is we mark that in our student attendance record. So the way that our curriculum is set up is that students have to have a minimum number of months in between belts, and that's training months. They also need a minimum number of classes. So for example, if you want to go from orange belt to green belt, you need to have 4 months of training and a minimum of 30 classes. So when they join our Facebook or our Instagram platforms for the training, they just tag us, like us, and then our program directors will record that as a class attendant.
Right.
Now, you know, well, what if they only join for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half of it? You know, that's kind of beyond our control. But these are ways that we are monitoring their progress moving forward, so that when we come back, if they have the minimum number of classes, then they're still going to be eligible to do their next belt test.
Right. Right. Okay. Great.
You know, the reality right now, Master Ghafour, is that we're not going to be signing up a lot of new students right now.
Right.
So our main focus has to be on retention. And how do you retain students? Number one, right now, we obviously have to communicate. But number two, you have to make sure that your students are still feeling a sense of progress and having fun. So if they're not feeling those benefits, you're going to have a very high attrition rate. As club owners, we can't sit back and just hope for the best and do nothing. We've got to make a plan. We have to act on whatever your plan is right now, to keep our retention as high as possible.
Yeah, you're right. I think those key words, progress and having fun, is something that is the most we need to do out of these this online way of teaching and communicating, and that's going to be something that's very, very key. I like that concept of tagging them to keep them accountable. We're actually coming up with something on our end on 2020 Armor on that progress front as well. We'll be rolling that out next week to get some accountability for students as well. So I'm excited about that. What about, sir, the you mentioned that the enrollments are not going to be the same or going to be as high. Are you thinking about, have you put any, I don't think you probably had enough time to put any sort of beat behind this, but, some sort of like when everything kind of over, some sort of a plan to make up for those lost leads? Is there something in the works, like some sort of a special camp that will maybe be extended? So let's say if you had a regularly like a 1 week camp, or would you do like a 3-4 week camp now? Any thoughts on what to do kind of after to make up the lost new leads or new signups?
Yeah. So, Master Ghafour, I think that's a very, very important question. I do want to spend some time talking about that. But before I do so, I want to give some very, very practical tips for a lot of club owners out there on what they can do right now before they start planning.
I like that.
Spring into summer rebuilding program. So number one, for any listeners out there that have a dojang here in Canada, the Canadian Bankers Association they put together sort of a playbook for small business owners, and I believe they've released some of that now, and they're making a huge announcement on Monday. But if you haven't already done so, if you're a business owner, I highly recommend you to call your banker, if you have your own personal small business banker, or just contact your local branch. I know a lot of branches are actually closed with only kind of the main locations open, but you can call them. So I want you to contact them and find out what they're doing in your area for small businesses. If you own your own unit or your own building, there's been talk of a 6-month mortgage deferral program. A lot of the big 6 banks are offering 10 to 20% increase in their credit line, no questions asked. There's also a program where they're helping small business employers subsidize up to 10% of their wages for employees. Now, I've talked to some of my colleagues in California, and they say that their local banks have come up with a sort of a similar relief strategy. So if you haven't done so, regardless of where you are, call up your banker, email them, and say, listen, I'm a small business owner. I'm going to be facing some hardship paying the rent or the mortgage, or just paying basic expenses, loss of revenue. What sort of things can you do for me right now? Number 2, write a letter or call your landlord and let them know that, listen, we're temporarily closed right now, and we may be closed for another few weeks, a month, or even a couple of months. It's going to be very difficult for me to manage our budget right now. Is what can you do to help me out with my rent payment? Is there a layaway plan? Anything will help. Or if you have an idea of yourself or what you can do, I think during this time, a lot of landlords will try to accommodate you as best they can. And perhaps they are eligible for some sort of mortgage deferral payment on their end. Then they could pass on the benefit to you. So step 1, call your bank. Step 2, contact your landlord. Step 3, dojangs, there's various sizes. There's smaller dojangs that have 50 to 100 students. There's medium-sized dojangs, 1 to 200 students, and then there's the larger dojangs, 300 students plus. So depending on your reality right now, you may have some part-time staff, you might have full-time staff, you might only have contractors, or you might have a combination of all three.
Right.
Regardless, you need to communicate with your staff what your plan is, because dojangs are closed. You may not be in a financial situation to pay your staff. And if you cannot pay your staff right now, you need to provide your staff with some resources so that they can apply for some employment insurance benefits. So you need to really help out your staff. I mean, your staff need to know that you're looking out for their best interest. When this all blows over, we're all going to have a business to come back to. But in the meantime, this is what you need to do. Here in Canada, if you're a full-time paid staff member, you're eligible for employment insurance up to 65% of what your normal salary is.
Right.
If you're doing live training and you need to call them in for 1 or 2 hours a day, consider topping up that extra 35% for them. You know, keep in mind that that will be taxable, but at least it shows them that you're supporting them fully. If you're an instructor that's a contractor, maybe you're not a full-time employee. Well, governments are coming up with an emergency relief fund. There's some states, some provinces, and here in Canada, we're lucky, they're offering up to $900 bi-weekly for people that don't have a job because of this COVID-19. So those are the 3 steps that all dojang owners can take right away. Contact your bank, contact your landlord, and communicate with your staff and have them go on either some sort of subsidized payment plan, either from you or from the government.
Yeah.
And then number 4, you can, sorry, Master Kook, then we can talk about this spring into summer program. You know,
no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I got ahead of myself with the questions, and it's interesting because you know, the 2020 armor business is a business as well, a small business, and those 3 steps we took the exact same steps. So you know, our landlord actually deferred our rent, canceled our rent for 2 months. Our bankers also said, reach out to us, talk to us. What do you need? There's some flexibility there, and then what the government's doing. And then I've also chatted with the team about you know, all the different strategies we need to do to employ. So very similar paths that we're taking there. But yeah, now and that's great advice. Thank you, sir, for sharing that. And now thinking 3 months ahead, right? What are some of the ideas that are kind of going through your head right now on that front?
Well, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm planning a week at a time. So we are planning to open April 1st, and if everything opens up April 1st, then it's business as planned.
Okay, so no dramatic changes if that's the same, right?
Yes. Now I think the reality is we'll have more information early next week, and definitely by this weekend, that probably April 1st is not realistic. If we need to have our dojang closed for another week or another 2 weeks, then we have another plan that I've been working on with my staff. And here's what it is. We are planning to have all-day classes. So what that means is, instead of having our dojang open from your typical 9 to 3, we're gonna open our dojang from 9 till 9. And the thinking behind that is that a lot of schools have already announced that they're not going back to school till September.
Right.
And then a lot of private schools have said already that they're going to be going to an online platform of 3 to 4 hours a day. And I spoke with some school administrators and parents about that, and they say that they're going to have more information released on that next week. Sorry, I just actually have my banker calling me right now, so I'll just message him. So my thinking here, Master Ghafour, is when people are ready to come back to class, you know, my locations, we kind of fall in the larger school category. Parents and students are not going to be comfortable coming back to a class of 30 or 40,
right,
or even 20, right? This social distancing thing is going to not just last for a few weeks. it's going to last for a very long time. You're going to, I think maybe here in North America, people are going to start bowing instead of handshaking, even on the streets. You know, fist bumping and elbow bumping and just, you know, all of that kind of social distancing is it's gonna carry on for a long while. So why am I talking about this? Parents are going to feel more comfortable with smaller class sizes for the time being. It's not like our government health authorities are going to say, all right, guys, life back to normal. You guys can do everything you want. I think we need to be very realistic about how we go back into our day-to-day business. So by me offering all-day classes, I'll have an opportunity to split up the sizes of our classes. And again, I'm going on the presumption that students won't be going back to school for a couple of months. So they're going to be at home doing nothing. So we're giving parents the option of coming either to our morning class or our afternoon class. And we're going to be carefully monitoring the size of the classes. So this is one plan that we're coming up with. We're just coming up with a draft. A second draft that we're coming up with, and I'm actually really excited about this, is we're going to be offering day camps, both half-day camps and full-day camps. Now, again, you're going to have to limit the number of students that you accept into each camp, depending on the size of your dojang and the amount of staff that you have. But going on the assumption again that students will not be going back to regular schools, parents are going to be looking for activities. You know, they're not going to want their kid to stay at home all day without any physical activity, without leaving the house, without some form of social interaction and exercise. You know, so we need to be prepared for that. And here is where I think lies a huge opportunity for dojang clubs and owners. Let's say we offer day camps of 10 to 20 students. Let's go safe here. Let's say 10 students. And your typical daycare will charge anywhere from $800 to $1,500 a month. But we're going to be offering a discount. You know, we're not a daycare. We're a Taekwondo day camp program. We're a training camp. So instead of charging, you know, $1,000 a month, we're going to be only charging you $150 for the week or $200 for the week. And this is what will be included. It'll be Taekwondo instruction. It'll be drills. It'll be educational segments on how to stay safe and healthy. Whatever that may be, you need to come up with a curriculum for your day camps. But if you have 10 students and you're charging $150, and that's an additional $1,500 of revenue per week, which, you know, adds up to $6,000 a month. Now let's say you're able to accept 15 students, or maybe just keep it at 10 students but charge $200 a week. Well, then that's an extra $8,000 a month revenue. Now, the beauty of this is that you're not just catering to your current student base. This will be an opportunity to reach out to everybody in your community. Say, listen, we are a Taekwondo school concerned with the health and safety of our community. We also recognize the need for beneficial physical exercise and a positive outlet for all, you know, all this built up energy and anxiety. So we are providing these day camps. Of course, you have to go by your local health authority. You got to make sure that you are clear to do something like this. And this is going to be a great chance to enroll a lot of new students. You may have only 5 from your current student base, and then have 5 or 10 from kids in your community that have never done Taekwondo before. Or you'll have students enroll, and then they'll let their friends know about this day camp that you guys will be offering. So that's one opportunity that business owners can start planning. Maybe you're not ready to do a full day camp, 9 to 3. Maybe it's a half day camp, 9 to 12, or 1 to 4,
Right.
and you charge half of that. So these are, again, creative solutions that we're coming up with to plan for the next few weeks, next couple of months.
Right.
Because we really don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, and so for those folks wondering, we will be sharing some of those ideas as well on the link that you see on the screen. We'll be working with Master Tony Kook and other experts in the field about putting strategies behind that, so that you can choose to use them in your school. For those on the live session with us now, so please feel free to ask questions. We can address them afterwards in the comments as well, or live on screen. We just have a few minutes left. We went through quite a lot of great content. What we'll be doing is also summarizing this content, putting it on the link page that you see on the screen, and creating a blog post, and then also sending an email to our folks that we're connected with. So we'll give you a digest of all this as well. In these last few minutes, sir, we have about 5 minutes left. Anything else you want to get to, or thoughts that you had for club owners? I think one of the questions I wanted to get to, maybe it might be the last one, depending on how long the answer is. I guess in terms of mentally for club owners, you're a very level-headed and calm person. I'm sure, as many people can tell just from the tone of your voice. Some might be worried. Some might be just as calm as you. Any sort of advice that you can give to your peers, club owners, on the situation, just on a very high level? Because again, you seem very calm and collected, and kind of have put things together. But for those that aren't, what would you say to them?
Before our students do their promotion test, whether it's young kids or adults, I always remind them that on the inside, you may be feeling nervous and anxious or scared, but as martial artists on the outside, I challenge you to look confident. I challenge you to sound confident. And something magical is going to start to happen, where you really start to feel confident. And you know what? I think it's no different here.
Right.
Am I concerned on the inside? Absolutely. Am I nervous? Heck yeah.
Right.
But all I can do right now is plan. The best I can do right now is really try to be as resilient as possible. So I need to plan. I need to come up with good strategies. I need to be persistent. I need to continue networking with people like yourself in the industry. On average, I'm talking to about 3 to 5 business owners every day, getting their ideas and just brainstorming ideas.
Right.
And that's all we can do right now. Is we're in the profession of building life skills and inspiring our students. So we need to really walk that talk right now. We talk to our students about indomitable spirit. We need to do that right now and be a brilliant, shining example to everyone. So here are some things that you can do. They say that motion creates positive emotion. Keep it fun and keep it positive. Engage with your students. Say, hey, listen, while you guys are at home, here are a couple of contests that we're going to do. Here are a couple of short classes. Take a photo or a video of you following along on our live training or our online video tools, and tag us or let us know, and we'll enter your name in a draw. Things like that, where you're really just continuing to engage your students. I think these are some good strategies moving forward for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people in the book, is focusing on what you can control, right? And putting all your energy towards that. And like you said, planning and executing on that is what you can control right now. You can't control the virus and the spread and what the government's doing around that right now. But what you can control is these other things, and putting your focus on that will help you. And like you said as well, you know, a lot of your students are looking towards you for that reassurance and that confidence, and they will feel it. And it comes through video just as much as it does in person, right? Your tone of voice, your body language, that also comes through quite a lot. And so let's make sure that we share that excitement and that confidence with our students. And you know, one of the other famous quotes is "This too shall pass." Right?
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's hurry up and wait, right? It's yeah. Can't wait till it does pass. And you know, if there's any silver lining, I mean, imagine how well equipped we're all going to be when something like this, hopefully nothing like this ever happens again, but if something like this were to happen again in 5 or 10 years,
right,
we'll be in such a better place to handle this. So it's a learning curve for myself and for everyone else in the industry. And I do encourage club owners to continue reaching out to one another. Now's not the time to be greedy or selfish. You know, we are all in this together. We're all passionate about what we do, and most of us are lucky to make a living off what we love to do. So we really got to do everything we can to build our industry stronger and make sure that we're all open for business, even better when we come back.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, thank you, sir, again for your time and sharing your insights that you've been gathering this past week with the world. We will again dissect this video, put it into a blog post for you guys, share it out with you, and then we'll continue to do this in the next week as well. And if you have any questions, again, that you didn't feel comfortable talking about publicly, if you go to that link that we have there on the video stream, you can message us and we can answer you privately that way if you like as well.
My apologies about this camera not working, but thank you, Master Ghafour, as always, for putting things like this together to keep everyone informed.
My pleasure, sir. And thank you for your knowledge and wisdom. Till next time, sir. Be safe, and yeah, can't wait to chat with you again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.